What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Triple H podcast, Happy Hour Hoops. We're always talking hoops. We're sometimes happy, and it is that hour. The hour of the podcast.
Are you feeling that way,
gentlemen.
Dunny? Because you and I, you're right on the East Coast there in Boston. I'm here right on the edge of the Central Time Zone in
Cold
Chicago.
as shit
And it's
today, dude.
It's cold as shit. It's raining and it's dark at 4:45 right now. So I feel like that's what we're dealing with right now more than anything.
Yep. Yeah. That's why we're sometimes happy, but we are always talking hoops. Like I mentioned, Steve, Jake, myself here doing it again. We got a lot to talk about today. We'll be talking about some more surprise teams, a state of a couple different teams that could go either way. We're gonna break down Chet versus Wemby. You know, who's looking better right now, who's gonna look the best going forward, all that good stuff. And then we have another draft at the end of this week's episode. We'll be all drafting our starting five out of all players in the NBA right now, trying to make the best starting five we possibly can. And it's kind of up to us whether we want to build for the future, win now lineups. We're just kind of building our own starting five. Choose your own adventure, if you will.
Oh, I like that.
And we're choose your own adventure. Starting five adventure. We love that, right?
Hell yeah.
Starting with the news and notes, though. Just get the bad out of the way quick, man. A lot of injuries to start the season. Happens every year. It sucks. I feel like this was the same way with football. You were excited it was back. So many injuries to start the year. None, too crazy so far. Obviously, the Robert Williams expected to miss the season with some sort of knee surgery, which he's already had many of those. It sucks. This is kind of shedding some light on why the Celtics may have gotten rid of such a beloved player. It's just availability, man. And unfortunately, we all know what Rob Williams is when he's on the court, but often he is off the court with injuries. And if you're watching on YouTube, we have the Robert Williams frowny face up because he's just one of the more likable players in the league. Super fun to watch when he's making plays. And now he has to miss the season there. Kind of sucks for Portland. Could have been used as a trade piece. Could have just been used as, a piece to build up this young core. Anthony Davis, unsure on his status, but we already saw he was taken out of a game the other night. So, you never like to see that, especially another guy who's just super injury prone. Seeing that earlier in the year is tough. And then Mason Plumlee, not as important as those other two guys, but still, a big deal for the Clippers. MCL sprain, expected to miss some time. Switch it up with some good news, though. Bradley Beal set to return tonight. If you're listening live, we're recording this Wednesday. Guys, we finally get to see the Suns' big three.
Finally,
yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what it looks like because the Suns. I don't want to say they've been disappointing so far to start the year, but we only saw Booker and Durant 2 games together so far. So they've kind of been depleted. Durant's been playing fantastic this year, but I'm curious what Bradley Beal's role is going to be. I don't know if there's a minutes restriction tonight, but when they fully get going, and I don't know if we'll see it after this game tonight, but when they fully get going, I'm curious to see what Beal's role will be on the team. If Booker's going to take more of that point guard, Devin Booker playmaker type role. And if he needs to take over a game in the fourth quarter, he can. But the way he's been playmaking, and honestly, the way Durant has kind of been setting up his teammates this year too, I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities for Bradley Beal to kind of get his shot whenever he wants it. So we'll see, but I think this could be a situation, maybe not tonight, but going forward, where Bradley Beal could be a volume shooter still for this team. And I really didn't expect that after the deal was done. I thought he'd be more of a role player. But I'm curious, just the way they've kind of played the first, handful of games with Booker and Durant, it almost feels like Bradley Beal's just going to be that guy's just going to be open. And if you want someone open taking shots, Bradley Beal's on the short list of guys you want.
Yeah. And I misspoke at the beginning there. I guess Booker is out tonight, so we still aren't seeing the big three.
No surprise there.
but we at least get to see Beal in his first bit of Suns action. Jake, you have any reaction to Beal returning tonight? I mean, it sucks. I wish we could see the big three, but unfortunately, it will be Beal and KD.
It goes back to my theory from last week. I think Beal just took a 3-week extra preseason, and now he's ready to roll.
Yeah.
I really think that's all it is. This was his load managing, and now we're going to see what Brad Beal can do. I'm interested to see how they use him. I'm interested to see how much he's on the ball, honestly, because we've said, we didn't know who was going to run this offense all the time. So I want to see how they kind of imagine Beal in this offense, and definitely seeing him with KD is going to be just. It's going to be awesome. That those two guys have wanted to be together and really enjoy, just have a lot of respect for each other before they even got together. And so I'm really excited to see them on the court at the same time. Should be a blast.
Yeah. I mean, Beal and obviously Booker and KD, which we've been able to take a look at, but Beal and KD is nothing to scoff at either. I mean, this guy's a pure bucket. He's led the league in scoring before, and I'm sure he's excited. He's never played in an atmosphere or with teammates like this. So JVC is back with the goalposts.
There it is.
Love it.
LeBron James versus bad calls. Did you guys happen to see any of this? This is our last piece of news here. Yeah, Jake, what was your thoughts on this?
I mean, are we surprised LeBron's complaining about calls? And
no
at all. He was feeling some type of way going back to Miami, though. He was going off on Twitter last night too. So I feel like this was more LeBron just kind of getting frustrated in general and just annoyed with the team.
Would be if I was
as much as anything too right now. Maybe that I really think he's just lashing out because they're mid, and I don't think that and he's dealing with another Anthony Davis, whatever. It was a hip spasm or a groin spasm or something like that.
Yeah, groin.
Groin.
And he said that last year too. If you have a bad groin or bad hips, those things are literally just going to happen all the time. Coming from a person who literally still has a tear in their groin from hockey, and never got it fixed. You literally just have to learn to deal with it. And Anthony Davis is a professional athlete doing this. You have to just power through at some point. And it goes back to, I think we've had this theory. His pain tolerance is the lowest of any professional athlete I feel like we've ever seen. And that's what it comes down to. I feel like he just complains about injuries that other guys don't even mention. And that's how we end up in these situations. And how does Shams sending that out? It just feels like such propaganda too. All
at
the time
halftime
to AD,
too.
Bro.
Yeah.
At halftime. Oh man, his hip spasm. We don't even need to it's just AD, and I feel like that's LeBron. He can't just lash out at his teammates, so he's lashing out at the media, at the officials, at everything else, because he's probably frustrated. And I would be frustrated too if you deal with another year of Anthony Davis like this. I really would. And there's the rest of it around him, it's been the D'Lo experience has not been great. The Gabe Vincent experience has not been great. Reeves has been inconsistent to start the year, but I think that has more to do with playing FIBA in the summer and everything. A lot of those guys seem that, except Anthony Edwards, he doesn't seem to be bothered by that. But so I feel like LeBron is lashing out. That's what it comes down to for me more than anything else.
Yeah, I have a crazy Anthony Davis stat. It's a not great stat for the Lakers, but I'm trying to find it here. I thought I sent it to you guys. I must not have. It's just so weird with the Lakers, and I'll say this before I pull up the stat. Isn't it crazy how we watched game 1 this year and LeBron only played 29 minutes and everyone was like, oh, so this is what it's going to be. They're going to try to save LeBron for the playoffs. And what are they going to do? You know what the next closest minutes he's played to 29 is 35 or 33. Sorry. And he hasn't gone under 30 minutes since opening night. So it's just funny that everyone was up in arms like, wow, they're really going to, cater to LeBron and not overplay him and tire this guy out, which I think the middle ground is true because obviously you have to play LeBron and just because of how good he is. But now we're seeing you have to play LeBron because maybe the rest of the team isn't that good. And I feel like we're just in the same problem as last year, maybe not to the same degree because they seem to be a little more talented than when they started the year last year.
Yeah.
But it's kind of crazy, the uproar about LeBron playing 29 minutes. And then since then, it's been 35 minutes, 39 minutes, 33 minutes, 42 minutes, 35 minutes, 37 minutes.
That could be like a LeBron call too, right? LeBron's just like, no, it does not matter my age. It does not matter what year I'm in the NBA. I'm just going to play. If I'm able to play, I'm going to play. Because you're right. It's just been a jump like that. We haven't seen that again. And it was almost like after the first game, they were alluding to that this is going to be the plan. That LeBron, this is how they're going to work him in this year. And since then, no, LeBron's just trying to carry. Because you got to think from LeBron's perspective too, right? In his head, this could be maybe his last chance to try to get a title. Right. And so he's going to do whatever he can to, will this team. And the rest of the Lakers, they've been struggling. I mean, D'Angelo Russell's been a little inconsistent. Austin Reeves' shooting hasn't been great so far to start this year. And Anthony Davis, when he's healthy, he's great. he's averaging 20, 23, 24, and 12 right now. Yeah. When he's healthy, he's great. But it's a matter of, are we going to see Anthony Davis for more than 70% of games this year? I don't know. That's always the big question mark with here. So it's almost like with LeBron, he's like, I have nothing to lose at this point, right? What does he have to lose? Why would you rest him? He's just going to play.
Yeah. And I agree. I think Anthony Davis is putting up good numbers, but I guess this is a Darvin Ham problem more than anything else. But in the 81 minutes with Anthony Davis on the court and LeBron James off the court, the Lakers have a negative point differential of minus 78.
Wow.
So it is, I mean, that's LeBron checking himself back in right there, man. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I don't know if he knows these statistical numbers, but I'm sure he can see it playing out when he's out of the game.
Exactly.
So, that's almost an answer right there for the LeBron minutes. And it's just not something a couple of years ago that we would have thought would have been an issue with this Lakers group. It's like, that's why you go and get an AD,
right? So
he can hold it down if LeBron has to miss a game, or at the very least when he gets subbed out. And we're not seeing that right now.
Yeah. AD can't carry without somebody else on the court with him at this point in his career. And I don't even know if he's ever been anymore. And I don't know if has he ever been able really to do it. He's had a running mate with him basically the whole time. His best year with the Pelicans, he had an all-star guard with him who still could be an all-star guard. Like, I don't think he's ever been able to really create like this. And I think that we're still working off of the expectations of Anthony Davis from like what it was 10 years ago and like working our way back down from there. And we've seen the peaks he can get to, but the peaks he could get to is because he, like in 2020, is because he's playing with LeBron James. And I just feel like this is who he is. He's not a guy who can carry the load when he's on the court alone. And then you look at the rest of that roster and who's supposed to help him. Like we said, D'Lo's been terrible. Gabe Vincent hasn't been able to really do anything. Reeves has struggled, but I don't even think Reeves is the kind of guy that, like, Reeves and Davis is not scaring anybody in the West. It's just not, especially when we start talking about some of these other teams in the West that we're going to talk about later on. It's just tough to it's tough to see when you see LeBron, year 21, 38 years old, still being able to play like this, and he has a guy that's supposed to be a running mate, supposed to be a superstar, supposed to be a guy that can be one of the, help make one of the best duos in the league. I don't even think they'd be top 5 at this point. That's not because of LeBron James. That's the crazy part, is it should be because LeBron is deteriorating and LeBron
and he's not
at all.
Yeah, man, it's sad scene for the Lakers.
It's not sad for you. No, for the Lakers, not for you. You're probably loving this over there.
No, it's honestly, I had greater expectations, and it's so early, and
it's
everyone's gonna do
this team started like 3-10 last year or something like that too. Yeah.
So I still hold those expectations, but I think it's strange more than anything. Like, I thought Gabe Vincent was actually a good get for this group, and he just has not been able to figure it out. Like you just mentioned, I mean, how many people were throwing flowers in the street for Austin Reeves over the summer and being like, this, he's the next big thing. He was everywhere. He was on everyone's podcast. He was getting his signature shoe over the summer. He's making plays for Team USA. He hasn't showed up. it's strange. And, you almost feel for LeBron in moments like this. It's like, well, I read through his minutes and like, yeah, maybe your superstar should be playing that, but he shouldn't have to every night. And it does seem like it's a have to more than want to thing for LeBron right now. And, we got to all of this discussion by talking about Bron being mad about, some missed foul calls. The NBA came out and said everything that happened in the last 2 minutes was clean. And then a day later, he was still saying, foul calls that are missed in the first, second, third quarter matter too, which I completely agree with.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he had a point there, but it's just like we're only.
Well, it's a great point. It's a great point that they always that's what it is. The versus 2 minute report. Like they always reference this 2 minute report and everything else, and it's a perfect point. Like, okay, but you can call 3 fouls on somebody and they're on the bench for the whole game. That's arguably worse than missing a call late. Like,
I honestly think like someone getting their second foul 4 minutes of the game is more important than a late foul.
100%.
Where a guy comes out for the game and next thing you don't see him till midway through the second quarter.
Fucks
then they get their
rhythm.
third foul. Exactly. It screws up the entire team's rhythm.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too, that like, I think, the common fan sometimes just fails to understand is they always look at the end of games as the calls that decided the game. Oh, this was the deciding call. Or if this went our way, it would have been a completely different game. It's like, there are calls missed throughout every game, throughout every single quarter. It just happens. Like the refs are not perfect, and stars are going to complain when they don't get those calls. But if we fixate on just like 5% of the game, the final 2 minutes, right? We're just fixating on a tiny portion of the game. It really doesn't tell the story of the entire game. Calls are going to be missed throughout the game. We just have to accept that as fans and be like, listen, like, the superstar's not going to get every call. We see it with all the superstars now. Obviously, LeBron's probably one of the biggest ones at fault of it, but there's so many stars that'll check out for like a play if they don't get a call. Like they'll get bumped, throw it up, miss the layup. It's going down the other way. And you have a superstar walking down the court in the second quarter because they didn't get a call. And it's one of those things where it's like, that's just you just have to understand that's just part of the game, right? It's not intentional. They're not signaling guys out. This is not something that's only happening late in games so you can lose your FanDuel bets. It's not that. It's that this is just a part of the game where it happens. And it's just everyone focuses on just the fourth quarter. And they're like, oh, these were the calls that were missed. It's like, yeah, but these calls were missed in the second and third. It just happens. You just have to accept that. And if you accept it, then you can kind of move on and just appreciate basketball, appreciate the game for what you're watching, rather than being like, oh, this call should have gone our way. Refs are against us.
I think, Dunny, are you there?
Johnny's back.
Yeah, I'm a bit frozen right now, but
okay,
we can move.
We keep it rolling. I don't know if Dunny knows
talk
what's
T
going on
Wolves
at the
for me.
moment.
I'll figure this out.
Okay. Well, all right. So I got into. We saw the T Wolves the other night, obviously knocking off your Celtics, Dunny, in an overtime thriller, one of the best games of the season so far. And it was great to see Edwards and Tatum go back and forth. It was great to see Edwards, the defense and the aggressiveness and everything. And it's just like, damn, what can this guy really be if he's going to lock in like this defensively? But my question about the Wolves, and I got into it with some Wolves fans the other morning because they're all trying to take victory laps about the Rudy Gobert trade and say, oh, people calling it the worst trade in NBA history. Still, they gotta eat their words, blah, 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 all this stuff. Has the issue with Rudy Gobert ever been winning in the regular season? This team, the Utah Jazz were 1 seeds in the playoffs before with Donovan Mitchell, who is not as good of a perimeter defender as their potential, at least shown that he's just not even been close to what Edwards has shown already, or the potential that Edwards has to be a perimeter defender. So I understand, and I get that this team might have a higher ceiling defensively. But when it comes to the T-Wolves, they could be the 3 seed, 2 seed this year, whatever. Absolutely. For all whatever. I'm sure. I think that Edwards and Gobert and Naz Reid, I'm not bringing up Towns because Naz is out playing Karl Anthony Towns right now, which is fucking crazy. But my biggest concern is that when you get to the playoffs, Rudy Gobert can't be on the floor. And we've seen it so many times.
Right.
And do you think that he's shown anything that makes you think that that's any different? Like in his game? No, or is it just because Edwards is better and a higher ceiling than Donovan Mitchell was when they were paired up in Utah?
Well, I think Edwards is playing out of his mind. I think the big reason why people are kind of overreacting a little bit to the Wolves is you look at what they've done. They're the only team that beat the Celtics and the Nuggets this year. Like that's say what you want about the Wolves, and I'm the biggest Wolves hater out there, but we can't take that away from them. Yeah, it's early in the regular season. Yeah, it's 2 weeks into the NBA season, 3 weeks in the NBA season. But they beat the Celtics and they beat the Nuggets. Granted, both were home, but those are impressive wins. They beat the Nuggets by 21. And if you're looking at a team, that has those two bigs, if it works, if it does work for the Wolves, when you have Gobert and Towns, there's very, very, very few teams in the NBA that can match with the size with that. And what I kind of like about the Wolves so far this year, Jake, and I'm not overreacting. I don't think the Wolves are any really different than my expectations going into the season. Probably a playoff team. I really don't think they make a deep run. But what I really like about the Wolves this year is that Towns has basically taken that number 2 man role. It's no longer some games he's going to be the guy and then other games he disappears. Towns is just going to kind of be a solid player. I think he's averaging 17 points, 10 rebounds a game right now this year. And, he has his moments where he'll hit his shots from the outside. He's a big man who could shoot threes. He can have his moments where he dominates the paint from time to time. Rudy Gobert, offense kind of really doesn't exist too much. I think he's averaging right around 10 points a game, but Rudy Gobert is there for his defense, there for his rebounding. They're kind of figuring out their roles. Ant-Man has made the leap again, where he just looks like he is that superstar who could carry teams and put a team on his back. And that's was my biggest concern with the T-Wolves, was kind of the roles the players had coming to the game, and almost questioning the talent of this team. But you look at guys like Naz Reid, who's been a great player off the bench for them. Mike Conley, who really has just became a secondary player. I don't think he's played over 30 minutes more than once in a game so far this year. He's just kind of, been facilitating the ball a little bit, but the ball's not going through his hands late game. It's going through Ant-Man's. He's the one running the offense. Ant-Man's rebounds has taken a jump. Ant-Man's assists have taken a jump. Outside of just the scoring, we know he can score. We know he can drive. We know he can shoot. It's becoming a complete basketball player, and that's what we're seeing in Ant-Man. And when you have that, and you have 2 7-footers essentially in Karl-Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert that kind of know their roles and play their roles, you are going to be a mismatch for a lot of teams. And I don't know if this is going to be, playoff success, because the biggest, I think, fault to Rudy Gobert in the playoffs and to the Utah Jazz is once a team plays you a couple times in a row, they kind of learn what you want to do. They kind of learn your strengths or weaknesses. And then they're like, all right, we're going to expose it. And what have we seen in the playoffs? They're like, all right, we're going to put, more athletic big down there and make Rudy Gobert go out to the arc to guard him, to kind of take Rudy Gobert out of the paint, spread the defense a little bit. And then Rudy Gobert becomes a liability because on the offensive end, he's really not too much of a threat. But if we look at the T-Wolves team this year, Rudy Gobert doesn't really have to be a threat at all on the offensive side of the ball. He just has to be that defender. And maybe we will see teams once again kind of go smaller and force Rudy Gobert to guard outside the arc. And then the T-Wolves kind of come up short like we expect them to do. My expectations are changing. However, like I said, the reason they beat the Celtics, the reason they beat the Nuggets was not just because Anthony Edwards was playing out of his mind, playing great, but the players on their team kind of know their roles. And I think that's really important for a team like the Minnesota Timberwolves. You have 2 7-footers. Have them play like 2 7-footers. Anthony Edwards is your best player. Mike Conley's not the guy you're running the offense through in the fourth quarter. Karl-Anthony Towns isn't that guy. It's Anthony Edwards. And the T-Wolves, for the first time, I think, since Anthony Edwards came into the league, are kind of understanding that. So I'm not going to say the T-Wolves are a legit, real threat right now. But I thought this was a team that was a borderline playoff team, and they've been impressive. They have impressed me so far at a small game, a sample size, right? 6 games, but you beat the Celtics, you beat the Nuggets. You didn't beat the Nuggets. You beat up the Nuggets, and the Nuggets are beating up everyone else. Yeah. So that's very impressive in itself. But the biggest impressive thing for me, why I think the Timberwolves should be taken a little more seriously, at least from my perspective, is that this team kind of has an identity now. Last year, they did not have an identity. This year, it feels like they do.
I think that identity is Anthony Edwards. They finally, like last year it was like, let's test the waters. Is this guy actually, can he do it? And now that we all know, like he can do this. So I'm with you. I think that that's the best thing about them is that they are, we know exactly who they are. And if they're going to be a defensive juggernaut, then that's going to go a long way. it is going to go a long way for them when you have a guy like that who can create and fill up the stat sheet like he can too.
My Wi-Fi is better now, guys. Sorry about that.
Welcome back, Tony.
I swear I wasn't avoiding talking about the Celtics only loss. I swear that's not what happened there.
Just convenient.
Yeah, it was a happy accident. No, real quick though, because I'm sure you guys covered most of it, so I don't want to repeat much. Are the Wolves for real? I think Anthony Edwards is, and I'm sure you guys touched on that. And I'm sure everyone who watches basketball thinks that. One of the cooler plays, not for me, but just basketball plays in general, is at the end of the game. The Celtics made some bad, timely decisions down the stretch in overtime, but Tatum, who was basically getting his way most of the night, tried to ISO against Ant late. Apparently, he was talking some shit. That's what Anthony Edwards said after the game. And Edwards, with 5 fouls, took him on 1-on-1 and stole the ball from Tatum. And it's just like, wow, this is the type of player Anthony Edwards is now. And you guys mentioned it. I can't call this team for real. I'm with Steve. What I heard on the back half is just like, when you get to the playoffs, I still don't think Rudy Gobert is a guy. Right. Like, you can go 5 wide. The Celtics were doing it all first half. Porzingis was giving Gobert fits. It allowed Jaylen Brown to dunk on Gobert's head, which was probably the top dunk of the season so far. And the last thing I'll say is a reason they're better than last year, and I think a little more for real, is guys like Jaden McDaniels and Naz Reid, who I actually think in this order are their second and third best players. I think they're more important to the Timberwolves team than Gobert and Cat are. And I truly believe that. I'll argue with anyone just watching. That was the first Timberwolves game I saw all season. Jaden McDaniels defends on the perimeter better than most who play his position. And Naz Reid, I just think, gives you more than – I don't know what's wrong with Karl Anthony Towns, but Naz Reid is a more consistent shooter when you watch this team. He reads the offense better. He plays off Anthony Edwards better. And he just doesn't play soft like we know Cat does. I mean, Cat has 5-6 year sample size now of him just kind of backing down to the competition if things get stiff. I think Naz Reid's the opposite and plays with a bit of an edge, and same with Jaden McDaniels, and that's why I think these guys complement Ant. But as far as for real, I consider for real like conference finals or finals bound. I don't think they can do it this year with this group, but Anthony Edwards definitely already put the league on notice. So
absolutely,
the T-Wolves are fun again.
He plays with that confidence you can't teach, right?
Yeah.
He just has that type of confidence, the type of swagger to him that you just can't teach. Some players have it, some players don't. And Anthony Edwards absolutely has it. And you're right, Dunny. It's we all knew about Anthony Edwards' offensive ability, but you're right. Some of his best plays have been on the defensive end this year too. And that's huge. Yeah. That's huge for this T-Wolves team.
Yeah, things are looking up in Minnesota, so that's awesome. I mean, this is an offseason where we're talking about Ant maybe wanting to get out of there, forcing himself out. Was he even going to sign the extension? He did, and it looks good right now. So Minnesota's in good hands. Team that's not in such great hands, and really, where do you go with this group? The state of the New York Knicks is what we're talking about next. I love the caption here, Jake. New York state of mind. What do we do with the Knicks? I gave an insult stat about the Warriors or the Lakers earlier. Excuse me. Did you guys see? I'm sure it's changed now, but Randall in his first five games shot the lowest field goal percentage of any player in NBA history to start.
Does he need to get his eyes checked? Like, does he need to just go to an eye doctor or something?
I know.
Like, that's terrible. Like, I'm not I am not a Randall fan, but that seems absurd.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, the thing that's got to be most frustrating is RJ Barrett is having a career year. He's averaging 22 points a game. He's playing well, getting rebounds, getting assists. Awesome. And you have Brunson playing his normal excellent ball. You have Barrett playing above expectation. And then Randall is literally just tanking them. He is just an anchor on this team. And he's going out there still taking just as many shots, still stopping possessions and putting up bricks like the whole time. He had a good game the other night, but it was like you have to have a good game at some point. And it really wasn't like, and it really felt like it was forced. Like, this is the game we need to get Julius back on track. It wasn't like natural. It wasn't in the flow of things. Right. I think they have a serious problem with him. I really do. And it's a guy that has been undersized at his position his whole career and dominated on a lot of athleticism, right? And I just feel like, I don't know if we can tell that. It doesn't.
That stuff goes away when you get older, man.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. And this guy, and he's not a guy who's going to give that notion up, believe in that notion early. He's gonna hold on as long as he can. I think they got a serious Julius Randle problem. I've thought that for a long time, obviously, but especially when you got two guys who clearly should be the leaders of this team. And I think Julius thinks he's the leader of this team and thinks that he's still the best player on it.
And it's so sad because how many times last year did we say if Randall could just play to his expectation, or if he could take that leap? And it kind of seems like he's finally doing it, and Randall could not be playing worse.
Yeah,
it's just such a tough situation. And we ended the season last year like almost feeling a little bad for Randall when Knicks fans were ripping his poster off the side of MSG and stomping on it and spraying graffiti on his posters. So it's kind of strange, like, and it's probably too little too late now, but if you look inside the Knicks organization, you have to think they're seeing the same stuff we are. So if your fans aren't riding with this guy who thinks he's the main guy and you don't want him to be the main guy and he's not showing up for you and things haven't worked the last 3 years, it's strange to me that the Knicks haven't moved on from Randall is basically what I'm getting at. And now I fear it might be too late. I mean, you definitely can't sell him at his peak now. Who even wants to trade for Randall at this point? I'm sure you could still get something, but now maybe it doesn't seem worth it.
It almost feels like he doesn't even have the work ethic either for that. And I don't know if a team's going to want to take that on. For the Knicks, it's a bad spot to be in because RJ Barrett's finally starting to get a little more consistent. Jalen Brunson's been great. They got to find a way to play Emmanuel quickly more. I know it's a small lineup, but this guy's got to get more than 20, 24 minutes a night. Emmanuel quickly's been great. But you're right. It's just when you don't have Randall doing everything. We saw the first year when Randall went to the Knicks, we were like, this guy might become a superstar. The way he made that jump as the guy, and it
the
just
way
feels
he was
like
shooting the
did you guys
he's gone downhill since, and that's just not a good sign when that's supposed to be your number one option on offense. And what is he, the number 3 now? It's not good. Not a good look. Did
you see the stat today about Barrett? Came out, I think Tommy Beer, who I believe is a Knicks writer, put it out from Basketball Reference. There are 4 players in NBA history who have matched or exceeded RJ Barrett's career points, rebounds, assists, and made 3-point totals at his age. LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Luka Doncic, Jason Tatum. That's the company that RJ Barrett is in.
That's actually wild.
That's absurd.
Like, I don't think anyone could have.
And Julius thinks he's the best player on this team, bro. Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, think of those 4 guys. Those are 2 of the greatest basketball players of all time. We consider 2 greatest of their generation, and probably the next 2 greats of their generation, Luka and Tatum. Like, at least wings, whatever else, like score. It's fucking crazy that he is in this, and we're not talking about Barrett more. We're sitting here talking about what's wrong with Julius Randle. Like, that's what's wrong. That's the biggest thing with the Knicks. Is I just feel like it's so ass backwards the way that they're kind of running their team. And it's been a thing with Barrett. We've been on this Barrett thing for a couple of years now. Like, it's been a thing where you kind of just need to give him the keys and let the growing pains happen, because clearly, like, you can't waste these years. You can't waste this production.
It's a sad day. It's a bad day. Did you guys see, before we move on from the next, Mitchell Robinson's trainer too? He posted some Instagram story like calling out the Knicks organization and like tagged Mitchell Robinson, basically saying like, my guy works hard, you guys don't use him the correct ways, which Mitch has come out himself and said in years past that Tibbs doesn't use him correctly.
He's getting a lot of run this year, though. Mitchell Robinson has been getting a lot of run
been playing pretty well.
Well, he's feeling himself a little
better than Randall.
He calling Wemby bull again.
Oh my God,
I can't.
Did you see that?
Can't take that.
because the Knicks are, again, if you're listening live, the Knicks are playing the Spurs tonight, and they said, what are you expecting covering Wembanyama? And he said, "Oh, I'll just treat it like as if I'm going up against a Porzingis." Or
shout out JBC.
He said, "I'll treat it as if I'm going up against a Porzingis or a Bull." Like, Porzingis literally put 30 on you guys in the first game of the season.
Right? Yeah, right.
Like, I hope you don't.
Just a wild take.
I hope you're not treating it like that.
I'm so tired of the Bull Wemby things. Like, bro, if Bull was Wemby,
Shaq knew exactly what he was doing.
I know, but everybody's running with it. Like, we don't need to listen to Shaq say, "Oh, Shaq is a clown sometimes, bro. He's trying to get the people riled up."
Yeah,
we're just gonna run with it. It's so crazy.
We can compare Wemby to someone else, though.
Well, this Rookie of the Year race is. We knew it was gonna be. We knew it was gonna be fun, but I did not. I think we all had a lot of faith in Chet. I don't think I expected this, bro. I don't think I expected this. He looks so comfortable. Like he just looks like a 10-year vet already on the floor. And maybe it has to do with the team they have, because their team is just so fucking awesome. Like, they're so fun. They're so well built. I don't know where the hole is on this team.
There isn't one. There isn't a hole on this team.
No, there isn't. But Chet completes everything, man.
Yeah.
And Wemby has been awesome. He's had all the flashes we would want. Obviously, the 38-point game was incredible to watch. He's had the highlights and everything else. But Chet's stats, like, almost across the board, he's more efficient. He's been putting up, better defensive stats and everything else. It's crazy to see what Chet has been able to do. So I don't know, where do you guys land on this right now? Rookie, what are we, 7 games in? We're going to be tracking this all year, I guess, at this point, because it's going to be one of the best Rookie of the Year races ever, in my memory, at least.
Yeah, I mean, if they both stay healthy, this is going to be a 2-horse race for the ages.
Did you guys see this? I don't
see. Barkley asked Wemby about churros after his first NBA game.
Listen, those churros in San Antonio, though, they might be different.
Hey, they might be pretty good.
They might be pretty good.
It's actually not that random. This, I think it goes all the way back to Chuck, like way back in the day, his first couple of years on Inside the NBA. He
hyping up the churros.
This is my quote, or this is his quote, not mine. He talks about, to put it lightly, he said the big ass women in San Antonio are always eating those churros. And then it was a running joke for like years on the show. Shaq would always ask Chuck about the women in San Antonio. They would always talk about churros, and then jokes were made about Chuck also enjoys churros. It's kind of a long inside joke with those guys. But yeah, and then Wemby said he didn't know what a churro was, and it got real awkward on the air.
He doesn't need to know what a churro is, the way he's been playing. I mean,
yeah,
and that's the thing.
He probably doesn't. He probably could use a couple. He probably could eat a couple.
But it's one of those where it's like I'm already impressed by Wemby and Chet, and we had high expectations coming in for both of these guys, right? We were both, very pro Wemby, very pro Chet coming into this year. But it's just the type of plays that these guys are making, and it's the maturity level, which is the big one for me. Where you look at Wemby, he just kind of knows what he's doing. He gets in foul trouble. He knows how to play the right way of defense when he gets in foul trouble. He knows what his role is in this offense. He knows when he's got to take a shot. He knows when he's got to pass away. It's just he knows to be in the right spot, and that also comes for playing in San Antonio under Greg Popovich. Like that helps anyone. Obviously, you have a mind like that kind of teaching you the game of basketball. But I'm just super impressed by it. Like Wemby not, kind of forcing anything. It just feels like he's just kind of in a rhythm when he's playing. Like he can make 3-pointers. He's got a great shot, but he's not forcing anything. He's not just saying, "Oh, I've made a couple, I'm just going to start heat checking everything." He's 7'5". They aren't just passing it down to Wemby at all points of time. Just say back down to your defender. He's had a couple plays where it's like only Wemby can make, where I know we're talking about it all the time, but when he tipped the ball in volleyball, tipped it into the basket, then he reached around under the hoop and put it in. These are plays that like we just haven't seen before because of a guy with his skill set, his size. And then we talk about Chet on the other end of it. Chet, like you said, he looks like a 10-year vet. I mean, Chet Holmgren has just understood his role in this Oklahoma City Thunder offense when it's like SGA is the go-to guy. It's SGA's team. SGA is a superstar. This is his team. But I'm also a mismatch for almost every team we go up against. And you look at Chet, he's getting steals. I think he's averaging over a steal a game. He's averaging 2.5 blocks per game. He's shooting the ball. He's not shooting the ball like crazy, but he's shooting it with such high efficiency. He's getting his boards, and it's crazy because, like I said, Chet was Wemby before Wemby. Mm-hmm. And if you showed someone who like hasn't watched, any NBA for the past 5 years, but they know the sport, like, here you go. Watch this player, Chet Holmgren, tell me what age he is, what year he is in the league. They would be like, he's at least a 5-6 year vet.
Especially with the beard now, like. Too.
Yeah, too. It looks different from last year to this year. Maybe that helped him a little bit. But it's crazy because you think about a guy who misses an entire season, who's this hyped up rookie. The biggest thing is to be like, oh, how's he going to feel in like the game flow? Like it's going to be maybe a little bit longer of a process, right? Because you have the rehab with the injury on top of still trying to learn. Like this is his rookie year. And it looks like Chet's played for 4 or 5 years. It's crazy to me because both of these guys are super young. They're giants and they're super, super talented. And it's like the sky's the limit for both of them, in my opinion. But we're seeing things already. The numbers are only going to go up, right? Chet's averaging 17 and 8. Wemby, I don't think he averages over 20 a game this year, but like even if Wemby averages like 18 and 8, Chet 17 and 8, they have a couple blocks a game. 2-3 years down the road, these are guys who could be averaging like 30 and 12. Like it's very possible if we see this in the first year, the way they're doing it and the way it's not just necessarily putting up the numbers, because if they were shooting 30 times a night and they're averaging 17 and 8 and they're just getting as many boards as possible, they just know their role in the offense. They don't care about their stats. They don't care about the numbers. They're trying to help their teams win. And that, I think, the biggest, reason for me why I'm very impressed early on with both these young players. We knew their basketball talent. We knew what these guys' ceilings and potential would be. But I didn't think that they would come into the league and just be so comfortable playing basketball at a professional level. It just looks like they've been doing it for years. Man.
It goes into what you're saying right now, but like I had a hunch that they might come in like this, but I didn't think it would be this good. And the best part about each of these two guys is their confidence, and that's probably why they're able to perform like this at such a young age and with such little experience. Because we remember Chet last year saying, when asked who the best player in the league was, he said it was himself. And he was like, if you don't believe that, he's like, then you're already putting yourself at a disadvantage, which we've seen athletes that, have that mindset before. But for a guy who had never played an NBA game to say that, and then Wemby, a little help from the world to get his confidence. But I mean, this guy went on like a celebrity tour over the summer, going to baseball stadiums and throwing out first pitches and everywhere and being interviewed everywhere he goes. Like Wemby probably knew he was the guy before he even stepped foot on the Spurs floor. And now we're seeing them both just go at it every single night on the court. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because we talked about it this summer. It'd be cool to look at, and maybe we'll have to, have a final tally at the end of the season. But do you guys remember me asking you who's going to have more rebounds and blocks combined, Chet or Wemby this year?
Do you have the number right now?
I don't have the number right now, but I was just peeking, and I think it's pretty damn close. And I think we all three swept and took Wemby because we were like, I think the blocks will just be there. Meanwhile, Chet in his second or third game had 7 blocks in a game already. So
unreal.
It's fucking crazy, man.
I think Chet's had a steal and block in his last 4 or 5 games, I believe. Steal and block, at least one of each.
Yeah. You know how scared I am to see him against Evan Mobley tonight?
Oh, bro, that'll be a good matchup. I know Mobley's offense is still coming around a little bit, but Mobley is
still coming around is a very nice way to say that.
No, he had a couple good games. He's had a couple games where he's disappeared, but defensively, he looks like the best defensive player in the NBA right now.
That's what I'm interested in, to see what he does.
Yeah, Mobley's no slouch.
Yeah. Offensively, he's a slouch. Defensively,
guys, circle those calendars. November 14th, Tuesday night.
Oh, yeah. Baby.
Chet first Wemby round 1.
Next week. What do you mean?
Chet first Wemby round 1. We're less than a week away. Chet first Wemby in OKC, too. And that is going to be part of the in-season tournament, a group play.
Have you seen Vooch this year, though? He's got a point.
Oh boy,
Vooch is carrying.
Vooch over Wemby, JBC. Get out of here, Chicago
All right,
Bulls.
we got two teams to talk about before we hit our draft here. Warriors. We all know them. Some of us love them. Some of us hate them. Rumor has it Steph is still getting better. Do you guys
somehow,
believe
some
that?
way? I want to formally apologize. I had the Warriors under. I had the Warriors. I said this is going to probably be the end of the Warriors. That the Chris Paul is just not going to work. That I just don't think they have the roster built. I want to formally apologize as a Steph fan, as a Steph stan, as someone who has loved Steph Curry since he was dropping 40 a night at Davidson. Yeah, he's still good. He could carry any
Pretty
team
good,
at this point. Clay hasn't been that special. Draymond missed the first handful of games. Wiggins hasn't been that special. I mean, and the Warriors are 6-2, and they're still the Warriors when you go up against them. I mean, Steph Curry's stats are absolutely disgusting. He's averaging 31 points, I believe 5 rebounds, 4 assists. His shooting splits are absurd, and it's just like I never doubted Steph Curry's talent. But I was like, I just don't think this team's, that great around him. And they really haven't been. And they're 6-2. They really haven't been that great around him. The other players haven't really been playing that well, but they're 6-2 because Steph Curry's just Steph Curry. And he just changes the game when he plays.
What's been awesome to see, though, from just like a basketball viewing standpoint is we didn't know what Chris Paul would look like. We didn't know how it would fit and everything else. And the Chris Paul minutes have just been, it's amazing that because the point guard is still doing point guard stuff, and just to have him out there with Curry off the floor and just they're always getting good looks. Like everything's efficient still. Like Paul is running that offense masterfully. It's different. Don't know what it's going to mean when it comes playoff time when you have Paul in these moments. But right now, like regular season wise, for them to be able to stay afloat the way they can because Chris Paul is playing at such a high level in his minutes that he's playing. That's the biggest surprise to me. I still have a lot of doubts on what the size and this team's going to have to address that. If they get some size going into the playoffs at the deadline or something, I'll be more bullish on them going into the playoffs because that was their issue last year. It wasn't, there was and I got into a conversation about this. Obviously them being more efficient and being a better offensive team this year, which they have been worlds better than they were at times last year, especially going into the playoffs, will help their defense just because they're going to have better possessions and everything else. But the biggest issue is they got bullied. But if they address that in any way, shape, or form, it's fucking terrifying, man. Like it's terrifying that they're doing this again.
Yeah, I just can't even believe it. We all just had it wrong. I mean, it's still so early. What did we say at the beginning of the episode? We're gonna all of these are gonna sound like an over or under reaction 2 weeks from now, but for right now, and you're Jake, you nailed it. Like Chris Paul just working for the Warriors, like because of course. And then Steph's averaging 30 points per game and shooting 50, 40, 90. Like, just hasn't skipped a beat.
Unreal, man.
Even with Clay, this is also something we said was going to happen, and it kind of is. Like Clay hasn't been that impressive, even though he said it was going to be his best season yet, and it really hasn't mattered. So good for the Warriors. We'll check in next week and see if they stay this red hot, but goddamn, they still look pretty good. Philly, the 76ers, last team we'll talk about before we do our little draft to end here. Philly is playing my Boston Celtics tonight. They've only lost once. Harden gone. Maxey is for real.
He's unleashed. He's been unleashed.
And Pat Bev has been I saw this today. He has the highest for a single player. He has the highest defensive rating out of any player in the NBA right now. So,
wow.
Holy shit.
I asked it last week, and I don't think any of us agreed, but maybe we were all wrong. Is Philly better without Harden?
Bro, I mean, it's funny because we're looking at Tyrese Maxey now as the second option after Embiid. Maxey's been incredible, 25.5 points per game, 7 assists, 5 rebounds. I mean, he wouldn't have been doing this if Harden was there, right? And so I'm not taking Harden's skill or taking how good he is at basketball. I'm just saying if Harden was still there, we wouldn't see this from Maxey. This was good to kind of get Maxey to show that he can be a superstar. Tobias Harris, I mean, I feel like he's a name no one ever talks about. No one says anything. And he just kind of does what he needs to do for this team. He's averaging almost 20 points a game this year. He's shooting at a pretty efficient rate. And it's just like he's playing good defense as well. And it's just like these guys like are kind of stepping up because of the loss of Harden. And I think sometimes that really helps build team chemistry. And maybe when, Harden left or when during the off season where it's just, they didn't feel like he was checked in, it might've been to these guys like, hey, we got to play together. We got to come together as a team. The guy they traded for, who I don't want to say was like replacing Harden, but kind of takes Harden's minutes from him, Kelly Oubre. Kelly Oubre's averaging 18 points a game. And then you got Joel Embiid, who's the MVP from last year, playing like an MVP again, 32.5 points per game, 11 rebounds.
In the third quarter the other night.
Just dominating in the paint. And we're watching this team, and I look at it and I go, this is a much more fun Philly team than with Harden. And it just feels like these guys are playing better without Harden. And I'm not saying Harden's not a good basketball player. He's not talented, but sometimes it's addition by subtraction. You take Harden off this team, Tyrese Maxey game elevates, right? Tobias Harris game elevates. Joel Embiid, that distraction is gone. He can just get back to hooping. Kelly Oubre been playing well in the role they have. I like the look of this team. The Philadelphia 76ers look a lot better than what I thought they looked like with Harden at any point last year. They really do.
Yeah, I think Nick Nurse too.
That's a big help.
Definitely.
Because like coach to coach, I don't know how much. Like it's obviously hard to measure coaches' skills, or at least compare them. Like Doc Rivers to Nick Nurse. That's a hard comparison to make. But obviously something was getting stale with Doc Rivers and the 76ers. And they bring in a new guy who something was getting stale with Nick Nurse and the Raptors. Sometimes a new situation, a new coach. Like I do at this point in their careers think that Nick Nurse is a better coach than Doc. But I don't think Doc was the complete reason, that they were collapsing every year. And obviously, so far, Nick Nurse has done an incredible job with this group. The players seem to like him. And Steve, you mentioned him a couple of times. Kelly Oubre, they signed him like a month before the season started. Yeah. And when it happened, I was like, this could be big for them. He's a guy who's just put the ball in the bucket his whole career. He's a long guy you can play out on the wings. And he defends well. And Pat Bev, another guy we just mentioned, he's top-rated defensive player in the league right now. He doesn't always show up on the box score, but he's a culture changer, and it seems like some culture has changed in Philly. They look scared. We'll see. Big battle tonight. So if the Celtics lose, no mean tweets in my direction.
And I'm not trying to slander James Harden. And I saw your comment. I'm not trying to slander James Harden. I'm not going to call him a ball hog. I'm not going to say he is the system. He's better than the system. But did we see what happened the first game of the Clippers with James Harden? What happened to Paul George? Let me see what happened with that team. I'm just saying. Man. Paul George looked lost out there because he can't do what he wants to do because it's Harden. It has to go through Harden. And with Philly, they can just hoop now.
That box score made me so sad when I checked and saw Paul George, man.
I wanted to cry. I'm like, if you ruin Paul George's season this year,
he should ask for a trade. He should honestly, Paul George should ask for a trade. There's nothing that's going to benefit him because he's not going to take the ball from Harden. He's not going to take the ball from Kawhi. He's probably not even going to try to take the ball from Russ in these situations.
And he might be the most talented right now of the four.
I think he's the best of the four.
At this point in their careers, he might be the best at this point in their caries. And he's going to be treated like the fourth option. Absolutely.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I saw a
Kawhi's quote yesterday was not great. It did not good vibes when he was talking about Harden and about like, oh, everybody will have a chance with the ball. Like this is a team. Like it's just not good. You don't like Harden should be melding into their system, not becoming the system, as he said.
Yeah, and last thing here, I know this went Philly turned Clippers, but it's all relative. Good stat for the Clippers that I saw this morning, but it just ends up being bad.
He's great at defense too. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, PG is excellent at defense. Probably, Kawhi, when he's at his healthiest, is the best defender.
Julie just doesn't like he's not a James Harden fan here.
No, we don't have a lot of James Harden fans out there.
But I saw this morning that the Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and Russell Westbrook have the highest net rating when they're on the floor together out of any trio in the league, and just expect that number to plummet now with James Harden on the team, because it's just so sad. We talked about it when the trade happened. Like, the Clippers were playing so damn well. It looks like they were finally figuring out this big three that they already had. They throw Harden into it. Doesn't look great off rip. Philly looks fantastic. Let's get into our draft, guys. Let's do this starting 5 draft lineup. Choose.
We got to give Mike the first pick because he missed last draft. He's got to get first pick.
Okay. I'm not picking LeBron, so don't worry about that.
All right. So you're looking for the future a little bit.
We're looking for the future. Oh yeah, I'm picking Wemby. I'm taking Wemby first.
Wow.
I don't need to. I don't need to see
so he's going for the rebuild. I love it.
Oh, maybe the rebuild.
It's not even a rebuild. It's not even a rebuild with Wemby though. But I get how.
I got 4 more picks. I got 4 more picks. Don't you worry. But I'm not. I've seen enough. I know what he's gonna be. I'm fully on board the train. So you guys, who's going next?
Dunny, I'll give you pick 2. I'll give Dunny pick 2.
All right, I'm going to the Joker. I'm going Jokic.
Okay.
I mean, these picks we shouldn't have to explain much, but I think he's the best player in the league. So
yeah, I think that's a smart pick.
Don't you do it, bro.
I'm taking Luka at 3. Obviously.
Okay.
I'm taking Luka at 3. And I might do it. I might have to do it. If we're talking, we kind of said this, right? The LeBron, KD, that generation, and then the next generation. There's 2 young guys, pretty good. Give me Jason Tatum with Luka.
No,
tell me that's not a lethal combination right there. I got size, I got scoring ability, I got 2 guys who can play iso ball. Tell me that's not a lethal combination.
That's lethal.
That was rude what you just did there, Steve.
Luka could play interchangeable, right? Luka could play the 2 or the 3. Tatum could play the 4 or the 3. We're chilling.
Yeah,
that's nice. All right, back to me, and now I'm thrown for a loop because I thought for sure Tatum was going to be here.
No chance, bro. Not when Stevie Boston's in town.
Yeah, that's real nice, man. Oh. This is tough. I'm going to go. I mean, I feel like I have to if he's there. So I'm going to go Giannis here.
Damn.
Yeah.
And just stack my big lineup. Giannis, Jokic.
That's terrifying.
I like it. I'm going. So I got 2 then here.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. I'm solidifying my guards then. I'm going Steph Curry and Anthony Edwards.
Wow.
That's what I'm going with. Wemby is going to have the easiest life in the
Yeah, he doesn't score at all.
Life is so
I just don't know you guys, I guess. I keep thinking guys are going to get back to me, and they're just not.
All right, Stevie.
Oh, this is brutal.
No. Oh, no, Dunny. Sorry. I can't keep track. We're not in the right. I guess we are. I can't.
Yeah, we kind of are in the right order.
This happened on Pardon My Take the other day, too. They couldn't keep track of their picks when they were making the football picks. I was like, idiots. They can't do this. And now
Donnie and I screwed it up on a 2-man draft the other one. Jake, we screwed it up last time. I was like, how we screw up a 2-man draft?
I just kept giving Steve players last week.
Donnie's like, all right, I'm going to take my 5th. I'm like, Donnie, you're on number 6, my guy. Yeah. we're doing a bonus round.
That's awesome.
Okay. I'm just going to make it scarier for you guys because no one's picked him yet, and I'll figure out the rest. I'm taking Kevin Durant.
Okay, that's fine. I'm fine
so
with that.
Giannis, KD, and Jokic.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
I'm actually shocked he got back to me at this point, but you know what? There's a lot of good bigs. Give me Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
Give me Joel Embiid, Luka, Tatum, and Embiid. I know you did. Well, that's why as soon as it got to you, Donnie, I was like, there's no way he takes Embiid with the way he started. I'll have Embiid fall into my lap. And now we got Luka, Tatum, and Embiid. I got 2 names I'm thinking of right here, but I'm going to do it. I know I want Luka to play a true point guard, but you know what? It doesn't matter because this guy can take the ball up the court too. Give me Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. This guy's young.
Dude,
this guy's an
what are you guys doing
absolute demon. This is a guy who could take over a game. You talk about one guy who you'll see he's got 14 points going into a fourth quarter, and then you check the end of the game, he's got 35. And you're like, what happened? He just takes games over. Give me Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Come on. SGA, Luka, Tatum, and Embiid. I don't even need a fifth. I don't even need a fifth pick.
All the guys I've had written down, except for Joker, you guys have taken.
Where are you going
back
then?
To me now. I will go. I feel like I'm missing people every time I make these picks, but I'm going to take D-Book. I'll pair KD
pick.
and Booker. So now I have Booker, KD, Giannis, and Joker.
Wow.
Well, now you screwed me up here because that's where I was going.
Wow.
Ooh, man. Well, I'm doing this to you, Dunny. I'm taking Jaylen Brown first. I have to do it.
Dunny is in shambles.
I don't have any
He is
forwards
legitimately
right
in shambles, bro.
I have to do it. And
I love that he's out of 15 guys, JB's getting picked, though. I guess I got to be happy about that.
He deserves it. And I this is hard because I could go with my heart, or I could go with my agenda. And I don't know what matters to me more in the moment right now. I think the agenda matters more. I'm going De'Aaron Fox.
Ooh. All right. So what's your 5, Jake? What's your
my 5?
Or you have 4 right now.
It's a small. I got 5.
Okay.
So Edwards is gonna bump up. He's gonna have to play some 3. That's okay in my world. He's shown enough. I got Curry, Fox, Edwards, Jalen, Wemby.
Okay.
Damn.
So it's small, but you got
it's small, but I got a 7'4" guy.
Oh, you got 7'5" Wemby. Okay.
Yeah, and I trust Jalen and Edwards to play bigger than their position there.
All right, so it's my final pick here.
Mm-hmm.
Could go point guard. Probably should go point guard. Oh, this is tough, man. I know this is bad podcasting. I had a guy and I just lost him, though. I can't think of anyone.
You got to take it. There's somebody need to take because I know who Steve's picking.
I got like 4 names. No, you don't. You don't know who I'm taking. You don't have a clue.
Oh, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not.
Now that just threw me for a loop more. I wanted to
got like 4 names.
Kobe White.
Wait till you see. We got some great comments in here. We'll go with them after we finish the draft, and then we'll wrap.
I got like 4 names, bro.
I'm drawing a blank on the entire NBA right now. I don't know. Oh my god! All right, wait. So who do I already have? I got Joker,
you need a point.
Giannis.
Yep.
Yeah. Is there even good point guards in the league right now? I don't know why.
Bro, you have the second best point guard in the league right now.
There's a couple.
So you pass up on him. Because I won't take him.
This is who I was going to take. And it may shock you guys. It might be bad. It might look bad. I'm taking John Morant.
There we go.
Okay.
I almost did it too.
I'm also frozen, but I took John Morant. I don't know if you guys heard me.
This is tough because I need to take a guy with a little bit of size, right? We got Embiid, we got Tatum, we got Luka, we got SGA. It's disgusting. It makes me repulsive that Tyrese Halliburton's going to go undrafted. I actually want to puke thinking about that. I got 3 names. I'm thinking about right now. I could go and just take LeBron James for a year or 2. I could if I wanted to. I don't want to do that. I think this team's good enough to win now. I don't think I need LeBron to win. I could go with a guy like Anthony Davis, who's dominant when healthy, but how many games am I going to get out of him? But I'm going to go with a guy who's young, who is, I think, making the leap that we hadn't talked about at all on the podcast today. That should have been talked about. So this is where I'm going to give him a little bit of flowers for 30 seconds because the world needs to notice what former rookie of the year that just somehow got forgotten, Dunny's guy, Scotty Barnes is doing right now. Scotty Barnes, offensively and defensively, is doing everything you can ask for the Toronto Raptors. He's having his best scoring season of his career. He's averaging 22 and a half a game, 10 rebounds, 6 assists. He's playmaker. He's a rebounder. He's a defender. He can steal. He can block. He can do on-ball defense. Off-ball defense does not matter. You're telling me this is my, like, 5th offensive option on this team? Come on. Just give me the draft right now, guys. Just give me the draft right now.
We're going to put it up to a vote.
Tatum, Barnes, and Embiid. It's over. It's done.
We're going to let the people decide on this, Steve. So I'm not giving you nothing. But okay. We got some comments. I hate my team. We got some comments here.
Donnie's already given it to me.
JVC said this is his starting lineup, as you can imagine. They might be tough.
Torrey Craig.
Yeah. JVC's got DeRozan. JVC, where's Dalen Terry?
Durant, Booker. I think we're all splitting the points, Dooley. I think we all got.
We all got number one.
Yeah, this is
a lot of shooters going on here.
This is like it's supposed to be like fantasy choose your own adventure. So like in theory, these guys would be on the same team. We're not like counting stats.
No, this would. Luka and Tyrese would be interesting.
They'd be so weird because they're both
top 15 yet.
See, you got with SGA and Luka too.
Or Halliburton.
Halliburton. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love Halliburton. My thing is, I took SGA. You were going to take. I can't if I had SGA. That's the thing. I was between SGA and Halliburton. I really was between those two. But my thing is like SGA could just kind of take a game over, and Halliburton can't too. But he's more of a playmaker, and that Luka is he is the playmaker too. So it's like SGA is a little more he'll attack than Halliburton, but. Like I said, it disgusts me that Tyrese Halliburton didn't go in the top 15.
That's who it was him or Fox, and I picked.
No, it should be Halliburton. Yeah, I love Fox. I love Fox, but bro,
the Sacramento Kings are falling apart right now. I'm just saying.
I do like Dunny's start. I love Dunny's start. I mean, he's got size. Jokic and Giannis is terrifying. Yeah, I do love that start.
Our teams it would be a battle of matchups between my team and your team because I would just have Curry and Fox running all over the place and make Durant and Giannis try to chase him around. It'd be fun. Maybe we'll put it on 2K and just have a 5-on-5 Sims.
Just 5-on-5 Sim, bro. Yeah. Hey, you know what Luka does in 2K Sims.
Well, that's true, yeah.
You know what Luka does. He's averaging 38, 15, and 12 in every 2K Sim.
That's true. All right, well, let's get out of here so Dunny can go watch the Celtics beat down the Philadelphia 76ers.
Hopefully, real quick, though, Dunny, real quick, how many Celtics you get on your team?
All right, Steve.
How about you?
I got my guy.
I got one of the Jays. Just saying. I'm just saying.
Right here, baby. Go C's. Later, guys.
See you guys.